back everybody. This is part 2. It's been a pretty crazy week with snowstorms, like 2 within a week, super cold weather. It's delayed a bunch of parts showing up that should have been here, so I didn't get as much done as I planned on, but I did get some done. So let's jump into it and you can see. So the main 2 parts I'm going to focus on today is going to be the GPM servo mounts and the GPM wheels. Now these aren't a complete wheel, they're actually just the front face of the wheels. You don't have to replace the barrel, you don't have to replace the rear face of it. You also don't have to replace the hub spacers. They did come with all the hardware. The screws aren't the greatest, I did strip 1 or 2 of them when I was putting them together. They're supposed to be a direct replacement, but I found out they are not. The bolt patterns on the hubs and the back is actually right on, but there is some other issues with them. So here's the issue. The factory barrel is 52.5. The GPM wheel is 52.8. That's supposed to fit inside the barrel. The factory wheel from Axial is like 52.3, 52.2, depending on where you measure it and how you measure it. That's a big difference. It's a pretty easy fix. A Dremel tool with the sandpaper barrel is all it really takes. You just got to grind off maybe 0.3 millimeters, maybe a little bit more if you really need to. You want to be able to slide in there and back out without too much trouble. I did remove the locating pins on the back of the barrel. It just made it easier getting the 2 faces lined up once the barrel's in place. It's not hard to do, it's just a matter of taking the time, which is kind of frustrating considering these are supposed to be a factory replacement. They're supposed to just drop right in. Having to grind off some plastic, I don't know. For the price, I probably could have got some nicer ones that are cheaper, that would have replaced the whole wheel. But then there's the issue of whether or not the hub spacers are going to fit and bolt on. These, at least I know, would actually bolt right on. I was warned that there was some grinding to do on these when I first bought them, but I figured I'd give it a chance, see what they end up being like. And after about 10 minutes of grinding away with the sandpaper and the Dremel tool, I finally get it to the point where the barrel will slide in snugly, but still pop out without too much force, which is kind of what I wanted. I could have made it a lot looser, that way it would just slide right out, but then there's an issue of maybe it would be popping out when I don't want it to, so it works. I'll leave it at that. Everything together. Unfortunately, these types, you can't use those nice little compression tools to hold the bead lock together with the tire on there. So what I ended up using was the old axial face against the new one. press it against the bench. That was able to compress everything enough to get some screws in there. I used some M3 by 14 millimeters to get everything started compressing a little bit until I can get the M3 by 6s, I think they were, in there. That seemed to work out. It took some time going back and forth between the 6 screws, getting it all cinched up. Just for looks, I changed the stainless steel screws out for some black ones. That way they'll match the ones going around the hex adapter. It just looks better. And the wheels are done. They look pretty beefy with the black screws. Would I recommend them? I don't know. And the servo mounts, not much to say about them. They're aluminum, they're pretty strong. You can see the 3D printed ones I came up with. Going just off of pictures off the internet and eBay, I think I came pretty close. They fit and held, so that's a win. And unfortunately, I gotta end it here. I'm gonna show some previews of some other stuff that's gonna be later on. I'm still working on a lot of this stuff. I got the lights, I got sway bar on the front that I'm working on, plus I'm going to finish the body if the paint ever shows up. And I'll see you next week.